This is a GMS Hebrew Israelite commenting on an older Aria video when it was just One West. And he's going to say some interesting things we're going to need to comment on. So here we go with the first clip of the show today.
Them too. Okay. So the apostles and elders always taught that Joshua, the high priest, would put on filthy garments. And they believed that that was a high priest, Aria. And that
Just stop right there.
Okay.
Apparently, I just now learned this. Within GMS, Gabar and Orion Lob and Tahar have taught that Aria is Joshua putting on the garments.
Which garments?
Yeah.
Of the high priest of Zechariah 3.
Is that what Joshua did?
I think it's the Joshua the high priest. I'll play the full clip. It's a minute long. We'll check this out, and then we'll look at Zechariah 3 together.
accept them too. Okay. So the apostles and elders always taught that Joshua, the high priest, would put on filthy garments, and they believed that that was a high priest, Aria, and that he would come back one day. So if that's the case and the Lord sees it fit, then that just might be. No one's saying that because she said what she said, that makes him a man of the Lord. Nevertheless, the scriptures talk about the renowned men, how their works do follow them. Okay, so and high priest Aria has great works in this truth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this clip because high priest Aria.
So I'm gonna stop real quick. Let me give a little bit of context, guys.
Yeah.
He's talking about an encounter he had, this GMS member, with an ICGJC female.
Okay.
And the ICGJC female was saying how she loved the spirit of Aria and how he was, this great guy and stuff. And it was in the midst of her complaining to this GMS member about problems in the ICGJC. So he's saying, she was complaining, and yet when it came to Aria, she had good things to say. So he's speaking kind of well of his character here. And I just want to remind everybody, we're talking about the great works of Aria. Well, one of them was a false prophecy. Let's listen to that again now with that context in mind. And apparently thinking that Aria is Joshua.
That was my question. Is that what they're getting at?
That's what it seems like. I mean, look at the video title. Could this be Joshua the high priest in Zechariah theory?
Yeah.
Chapter question mark?
Accept them too. Okay. So the apostles and elders always taught that Joshua, the high priest, would put on filthy garments, and they believed that that was high priest Aria, and that he.
Yes.
What apostles and elders?
Tahar of GMS, and also we've got Gabar of GMS, and we've got Orion Lob of GMS. I believe he's referring to them because he's in GMS. Okay. So those.
They were taught through someone else.
Yes.
That Aria could be Joshua of Zechariah 3.
Yes, and it reads like this, Mike. Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to accuse him. And the Lord said to Satan, "The Lord rebuke you, O Satan. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked from the fire?" Now Joshua was standing before the angel, clothed in filthy garments. That does sound like Aria. You know what I'm saying?
I told you last week the GMS looked like the dirty Israelites.
This
you
is.
said they're dressed like bikers or something like that's their thing, but they all have like a characteristic in their camps that just kind of stand out.
They all do have characteristic dress. Each and every one of them does.
And I asked Vocab last week, where do they get this? If they take everything from Scripture, where do they get the idea of looking like John who's eating locusts and honey, and then the other people are looking like old Ghost Rider characters, or like this. They just pick. It's like they pick stuff up. I'm like trying to figure that out. Why something? Well, I'm not saying most. A lot of what is not biblical. So I'm trying to understand. This guy is like, Aria. The elders, the apostles taught us that he could be Joshua, Zechariah 3. Like how?
Is this?
Basically, honestly, it's the traditions of men. Yeah. But if we approach them, they would say, "You're not spiritual. We believe it by faith."
Yes. My question is this about reincarnation?
That's what it seems like.
Is that where, because it's not
Ariah's already John the Revelator, but it sounds like some of the Israelites believe he's also Joshua of Zechariah 3.
Reincarnated.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, that's what I was wondering if you, because I haven't seen this.
This is new to me.
Yeah.
I just discovered. I didn't know that Aria was reported by anybody to be Joshua the high priest until a couple days ago. That's why I wanted to share you guys with this. We're kind of figuring it out as we go.
So for the audience, we're reacting live.
He's pausing. He's pausing on a clip of Aria before the split, the One West School, which was called the ICUPK during the 90s, before the split in 95. So the clip is from the early 90s, Aria preaching, which I am going to play some of the clip. But let me just continue to read this, what it says. Now, Joshua was standing before the angel, clothed with filthy garments, and the angel said to those who were standing before him, remove the filthy garments from him. So a lot of Hebrew Israelites, I feel like maybe aren't heeding that instruction, but it is a command of the Lord. So, hey, brothers, remove the filthy garments. And to him he said, behold, I have taken your iniquity away from you, and I will clothe you with pure vestments. And I said, let them put a clean turban on his head. So they put a clean turban on his head and clothed him with garments, and the angel Lord was standing by. Now it continues on, actually. It's a little bit further along there, but go ahead.
Did they ever put a clean turban on his head?
I don't know, but I do know one thing about what is on his head. That is Aria, by the way. There reportedly is a small hole in the top of the garment, and that's so his head is not covered.
Huh.
Because and they get that from where?
It's in Paul, where he talks about men not having their head covered, and so they always put a tiny little hole in the top.
That's a convenient workaround.
We don't have a sound effect for that. We'll have a Mario drop or something for that. Like, good Lord! Like,
the sound when you lose a life in Mario.
Yeah, where's that sound?
I don't have that, but I do have this low health.
Come back one day. So if that's the case, and the Lord sees it fit, then that just might be. No one's saying that because she said what she said, that makes him a man of the Lord. Nevertheless, the scriptures talk about the renowned men, how their works do follow them. Okay. So and High Priest Ahrayah has great works in this truth. Okay.
1999.
Their works follow them. Okay, that's not what he's talking about. You don't follow after you die, you don't follow your works, you die.
Not only that, but we talk about good works. Didn't you find a clip on Twitter where during the debate on the 12 tribes chart, Al-Azhar said that Aria was a false prophet?
I believe so.
You did, because I just watched it today.
I believe so. That is out there. I have to go find that.
Yeah. I got it actually.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this clip because High Priest Ahrayah, from what you see in this video, he sounds like a G. Like if he was like regularly on the streets, y'all would say, he's hating Israel or whatever the case is, because you have a lot of people, a lot of different fractions of Israelites saying, oh, you can't hate your brother, oh, he's an Israelite, this, that, and the third. Well, let's see what High Priest Ahrayah says, and then we're going to hit some scriptures.
So what he's saying here, everyone, I just want to show everyone how wild this is. What he's saying is that people criticize GMS for being so critical of other Israelites and say you can't do that. And I don't know if you heard, he said almost, Aria sounds like he would be a member of but he didn't finish the sentence. He was going to say a member of GMS. He's saying because Aria in the clip is being critical of other Hebrew Israelites. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a lot to track with because, first of all, he, to your point, was saying that it's almost like a reincarnation type thing, but he comes back as multiple people, and then they have this kind of high esteem for him, right? Like they apply, biblical overtones to him, right? And then they kind of criticize him in some camps, and then other camps they don't. It's almost like they're just completely like unsure.
You could be. Yeah. You could not be.
You could be, couldn't, not, shouldn't, wouldn't,
which
shouldn't be. Siri, cancel the Israelites, please. That's what I'm asking.
That's saying a whole, which it really is like, it could be a thing. You could be, you could not be. Like, what? You're saying a whole lot of nothing.
Here's my question. The girl from IGWP XQRG, whatever.
ICGJC.
That one. Right.
We both got him.
Right. What was her, let me just ask for clarity. What was her point in having a conversation with this gentleman about
That's a good question.
Like, what was she gaining from this
I want to know the
conversation?
context of her criticism, because that would help inform this.
He was saying that he had done some work, and after the work was finished, he had a feeling she was an Israelite, and so he started talking to her, and to come find out she was a member of ICGJC, and he was kind of like, hey, how are things over there? You know, how are your mom and them type thing? And she started talking about all the mess going on, but then when he asked specifically about Aria, she had only good things to say. So to him, that was relevant to bringing up the fact that he had been taught that he could be Joshua the high priest. So it's like he's seeing his confirmation that Aria is also Joshua the high priest of Zechariah 3. So that's what's going on.
Is this Aria saying this?
No. So he was watching an old clip of Aria, then making the commentary, then playing it. Now I'm going to play.
That's just GMS for you.
I'm going to play the actual clip from the channel GMS on the Go 144.
That's why I see some of these people that done woke up and found out the Israelites gonna have to be put to death, because this madness ain't gonna be tolerated.
So GMS is saying he sounds like he's a member of us because we're willing to criticize other Israelites. So if you notice, Aria says some of you have woke up and realized you're Israelites, but you still need to be put to death. So it's not just, Moabites that need to be put to death. It's some of these rebellious Israelites. So listen to this again.
That's why I see some of these people that done woke up and found out the Israelites gonna have to be put to death, because this madness ain't gonna be tolerated. If you ain't interested in what's being said, move on. You ain't got nothing to say. Move on. That's right. Because we ain't for no foolishness. We ain't for no foolishness from you ones that say you're Israelites.
So there's a crowd to the side. You can't really see. The camera might pan over later. And he's getting annoyed with him asking too many questions about the other nations and stuff like that, which he's going to address. And so he's saying, some of you guys are going to have to be put to death. This Palm's like, you're asking too many questions. I'm out here to teach. Some of you guys are going to be put to death.
We ain't for no foolishness from Negroes, West Indian, Puerto Rican, so on. We ain't for no foolishness. So if you don't want to listen to what's being on, take your family, move on down the road, because we're not out here to play with nobody. I'm telling you straight, we're not out here to play with nobody.
Pause. We're out in public, but we're not taking questions.
Right. And if you don't like us being in public, you leave public and go private while we stay public.
And don't take your questions.
We don't want your questions, because some of y'all listening to us, we're going to put you to death.
The other day, well, they would probably say the Lord's going to do it. But the other day when I was on 27th in Indian School with IUIC, they kept on following me around, and they would say I was in their space. And when we were close, and the reason we were close is because they were following me, they literally pushed me and said, "Get off our property."
They were on the sidewalks. Correct?
They were on. So if you know,
because you didn't call me, like that would have been prime opportunity for me to come out there with you. Not that I'm violent, everybody. I just like to.
So if you know 27th Avenue in Indian School, there's a gas station on the southeast corner, and there's a gravel area. And then it kind of rises up because it goes down a little bit, a gravel area on like really the precise corner, like if it was a 90-degree angle where the sidewalk does this, and there's an area between where the gravel falls off like this before the gas station wall and where it's a level ground. So they stand right there. So yes, they're on public area in a place they were allowed to be. Yeah. But when they would get close to me, and then if I was too close because they had followed me, pushed me and said, "Get off our property." My point is, there's still this entitlement, like where we go and teach and have class. This is our place. This is our spot.
They didn't try that at our church.
But IUIC, I thought you were in captivity. So how can you own that property? Just curious.
Well, not just IUIC, but
they're oppressed.
ICUPK.
For those who are asking, it's that was in Phoenix, Arizona. That's what I'm talking about. So here we go.
I saw the post too. They had their umbrellas pointed at you.
Yeah.
And they were like blocking their vision of you with the umbrellas to like almost pretend like you weren't there, like sticking your fingers in your ears, like la 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 la.
So I was saying IUIC stands for it's imposters with umbrellas in a cult.
Imagine having umbrellas in Phoenix in January, like
for the purpose to stop.
Oh no, they only
vocab.
have umbrellas for vocab.
It's literally like a pink, penguin.
Yeah,
that's true.
They only have umbrellas for him.
Yeah, no, tell him while I get this next clip.
They came to my church, and I guess my son had called Vocab. Was like, "Yo, the Israelites here." So he pulled up, and before he got out the car, the umbrellas were out. I'm like, "Where did they come from?" Like ninjas.
That's coordinated.
And then they were recording his car, like
they got my license plate
and all kinds of stuff.
The cameraman literally went behind of it.
That's coordinated. You have to plan that in advance. That's not. I mean, that's
I think that's why they came
That's
back
weird.
again, because Vocab came to the church and was trying
That's
to talk.
just-
Yeah.
Let's play this next clip though, where
Okay. Final thoughts on that one. Final thoughts on this.
well, I have another clip from this one
okay,
still.
I got you.
It's
Okay.
part 2.
Okay,
It's only
I got it.
27 seconds.
Got a few thoughts. Yeah.
So you shouldn't ask no more stupid questions about the other nations, because this ain't a part of that. The other nations' place on this earth was slaves. Has always meant to be slaves. The only reason why they're ruling now is because we broke the laws. I'm going to clear that up. After we finish this, you should just listen to what the brothers got to say and learn. Come and learn. Because what I'm giving you is proof that this Bible is for the Israelites. That Christ came to save the Israelites.
Okay, so let me switch back to our scene. So I probably won't play that clip anymore. But the other nations are always meant to be slaves.
I mean, that's your standard issue. One West at this point, right?
Yep, that's it. So I mean, I feel like we know Aria a little bit better. Why is the
Well, okay,
monitor
I'm sorry.
turned on?
I'm not 100% familiar on some of the older men. Was that Aria?
That's Aria, yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, that's a first for me.
Yeah, I'm going back,
That's
man.
that's a first for me.
You're seeing the roots.
Yeah,
You know, that's the guy who made the 12 tribes chart. That's the guy who promoted the Lashawan Quadash of Baba Bivens.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's the guy who that's Aria. I mean,
Okay.
that is the brainchild of the brain. What's the word? Not brain trust, brainchild. There's another word, brain something, where it's like the fount of, but the brain, whatever.
The originator?
The original.
Yeah, but
the
there's a
origin.
word with brain
The
I
source.
like. But
The
he's
source.
Yeah, but there's a word with brain.
Now, did he ever claim to be Joshua the high priest?
I do not know. I mean, I'm just now finding out about this
Yeah.
doctrine.
That's throwing me for a loop.
Yeah, that is so.
That's a new wrinkle in the whole Israelite.
And again, that seems to be a GMS thing. I don't see other camps doing that. It's like this person is this person. This person was that person.
Right.
Like, that's a GMS thing.
It's
specifically.
GMS faithfully continuing what the Old One West school did. The camps have got away from that because the guys who were at Old One West saw the destruction it caused with Mashah. Because then when there was a split between Mashah and Aria, Mashah's camp became House of David. Because he was David reincarnated. And so they've got away from doing that. But the One-Westers who believe in reincarnation all still believe that some of those guys were, and you can believe it by faith. And GMS is just being faithful and continuing that tradition, basically.
we met King David last week.
That was a different King David. So, I maybe it's supposed to be, according to Zechariah, when I talked to Aldazar, it's supposed to take 3 or 4 generations before you come back. But
Okay, that's news to me.
yes,
Come back where?
Come back as a
You're
human
not-
being on Earth.
You don't get regenerated, or is what they like to call it, and until it's 3 or 4 generations. But if this guy's back already as King David and Mashah was King David, that's kind of a quick turnaround. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like a really quick turnaround. But maybe he got some extra health.
What you're saying is like this is GMS being consistent and proclaiming all that they believe, because you don't hear a lot of other camps talking about it too much.
GMS is the least embarrassed of the Old One
That
West
is
school.
true.
The
That
other
is true.
The other groups are much more embarrassed.
We could go on this for a while because I have questions on what you just said, but
I want to react to the clips though. We'll get bogged down.
yeah.
How many roads? Too many signs, I can't read them. Wouldn't recognize the turn even if I seen it. Been driving